And a very interesting one at that, because it put a lot of smiles on our faces yesterday while we were at it. It's football. Nnamdi Abanya is here with us. Thank you for coming on again today.
Happy to be here.
Let's look through the back pages now, how some of them reflected it. I'm sure they were also pleasantly surprised as to how the match eventually turned out. So the back pages were awash with the results and how those turned out. If we go start with, let's see some of those back pages, guys. We've seen Vanguard Sports says Nigeria whips Argentina 4-2. Yeah, okay. Look at the Tribune now. It will be on fire as Nigeria days Argentina, and it went on and on. Can we see it on that bigger one? Yes, indeed. So that is the first part of how that, and then you could see celebratory pictures as well. And then Vanguard also have their own version. Nigeria whips Argentina 4-2. It will be was on fire. He hit a brace. Ido scores on his debut. There you also see Guardian, their own version of how the match eventually turned out. So there were lots of converts at the end of the day after this match. But boy, what do you think happened?
I think the early goals shocked Nigeria into playing how they should play. Yes, we set up with 3 at the back, 5 in the middle, hoping to choke things up, prevent them from having possession. Pavon made a meal of all I'm very honest, on that right side. Playing 3 at the back, people didn't know the roles initially. There was a bit of confusion. Maybe Akpe was cold. I have much hotter criticism for him, but let's just say he was cold. Positioning not the best, but anybody would have had issues with that first goal. The second goal, the free kick, keeper's fault 100%. I mean, textbook football at children's level. You set a wall, you don't stand behind the wall. Force the striker to get the ball up over the wall and into the corner. You need to be standing at the other side. Don't give him a clear shot at goal. Make him have to work, because when ball to travel up and comes down, gives you time to get to the other side. So if it's a great free kick, it goes in, you hold your hands up to the striker, fantastic technique.
It's a forgivable offense.
No, I'm sorry, no.
Okay, but with this new strategy that they have, 3-5-2, that's the formulation that they have. What makes it different? Is that the strategy to give us the win, even when we go into the World Cup?
I think it was based on the personnel that were available. The fact that our standing number 9, Odion Igalo, was not available. The fact that Victor Moses, who is always in the 3 players behind the striker, we normally play a 4-2-1-2-1. That one usually has Mikel as this man alone, with Onazi and Wilfred Ndidi behind him. We usually have Igalo as the striker, and we have runners of Iwobi, Moses Simon. Usually Moses Simon and Victor Moses as the runners of the striker. We didn't have Victor Moses, we didn't have Moses Simon, we didn't have Igalo, so we had to change the formation. The 2 top attackers we had right now were Iwobi and Iheanacho. Started with 2 strikers, and we needed to, because they both have pace, good positioning. Iwobi is a very mobile player. So remember I mentioned it yesterday that if we could just get 2 solid defensive midfielders and get Mikel to distribute, which he can do decently, we could have a chance. What I didn't expect was for Nigeria to get so shocked so early and react the way they did.
Because when those 2 goals came in, I looked at it and I said, oh my God, here we go again. I mean, a lot of people would say this, even Chamberlain would have been freaking out at that time. But the game changer came in so fast.
Yeah.
How was the game able to just all of a sudden change so quickly?
Isolation football. You have Mascherano, who is old. You have Otamendi, who is not the best at man marking. You put a player on them and they start shaking. You know, they are good at zonal marking. They are very intelligent. They will head out dead balls. But you put a man one-on-one with either of those guys, there'll be problems. And that's where I think Alex Iwobi deserves a lot of credit, because he was a bit of a nuisance yesterday. I mean, he scored a brace, but in my opinion, I think those 2 goals were the least of what he did yesterday. I mean, because when you're constantly tormenting defenses like that, you force the midfield to sit back, you force people to double team, you get people out of position, and you create all sorts of spaces. So I think that isolation game of having players run directly at them, which Nigeria should do more, run at defenders, it causes problems, and that was what happened. Iwobi got the free kick when he ran, and Mascherano left a leg out. He was going for the give and go for the 1-2, left a leg out, we got the free kick.
You know, let's talk about the keeper, because at the end of the day, no matter what the team does, if the team or if your opponents think, let's just see how many shots we can get at goal, we could be lucky, just shoot on target.
Yeah.
And the goals that the keeper considered, do you think that having seen his performance,
Yeah.
and not just as a result of that singular performance, his previous performances, will any coach want to play him in the World Cup?
Well, another thing we have to consider is if, when it's time to board the plane to Russia, there is no keeper of his caliber fit and available, he will have to board the plane to Russia because you must go.
I will say, oh dear.
You must go with your best hands.
Because people say he's very shaky.
Injuries aside, right now, all we have is Uzoho, Akpe, and Ezenwa.
Wow.
Except somehow Enyama makes a return. You know, that's what we have right now. Let's live with it. Uzoho, inexperienced, we've not seen him before, but he's at a club where he gets quality training day in, day out, but he doesn't get a lot of match time. I watched him. I watched for some particular things. The point blank header he saved that side. His movement when crosses came in, you know, the keepers normally come out, if they see too far, they dart back. His movement for crosses was okay.
Speaking about movements,
Yeah.
how much questions can we ask of goalkeeper trainers in this circumstance?
A lot of questions, but the habit of the goalkeeper is formed by what you do day in, day out. So most of your training is at club level. At national team level, what they'll really be putting to you is how to communicate with your defenders and coordinate with them, sort of to form that spine between the goalkeeper and the central two or central three. The communication between them and watching for each other, calling for each other, knowing when to come out, how they play with each other is what they will really be telling him, because I mean national team is together for short periods. It's at club level, week in, week out, that he does training for coming for crosses.
He keeps in Chipa United, right? In South Africa?
Well, then let's question their goalkeeper training.
Because people argue that if that team in South Africa is where he plays for, I mean, they're no better than Eyimba.
Well, there might be infrastructure, there might be a good system there, but again,
Eyimba produced Vincent Eyimba, didn't
and a lot of I mean, they were double Champions League winners, so I don't think we can criticize Eyimba.
Eyimba is, I think they're better than Chipa.
Well, no, I think they are too.
They're better than Chipa.
But you know, how many? Let's be honest. South Africa produces a lot of great keepers, which means that there's a system there that trains keepers well, and it's not at one or two clubs. But maybe it's that club, maybe it's him himself. But what he did yesterday was not a case of a keeper not being good. It's a case of a keeper not being technically sound. So positioning for set pieces, for crosses, for dead balls, these are technical things. A keeper's own talent is agility, awareness, and his ability to hold on to a ball and decision making.
But this explanation suggests that he's a risk going into the World Cup.
All our keepers are risks going into the World Cup. All the keepers we have on ground now are risks. Oh,
because we don't want to go there and then not get and then concede goals that should have been prevented. What must we do now? Well, I mean, between now and that time,
if we're to be honest,
do we have to maybe hire someone, a technical person, to get those flaws straightened out?
That's one thing. Another thing is the defensive coach could come up with a system where you don't expose your keeper too much. You know,
is it just the defensive coach or the entire technique of the game now?
No, the defensive coach. Then, because the defensive coach is in charge of the high lines.
Okay.
If you want to play high lines, play the offside trap. You know, in those cases, people cannot really take long range shots because they're too far. But you run the risk of having strikers getting in behind your back line and going one-on-one with your keeper.
Will the 3-5-2 give us that?
You could do that with any formation. The worry is if you don't play it well. Like, I mean, if your fullbacks switch off and they are too far away and they don't know they've kept.
Welcome back. Well, from the look of things, we certainly are doing some things right in terms of administration and the team itself. What are those things and that we need to keep doing?
First one is consistency. It's been a while since we could almost predict Nigeria's 11, predict the squad. It's been a while since we heard allowances and fees have not been paid. Players want to go on strike. There is currently no strife in the NFF. The NFF president is pretty influential in CAF right now. So a lot of dodgy things that used to happen and went unreported are not really happening.
Boardroom politics.
Boardroom politics. I mean, the era of going to North Africa and having live bands in the hotel lobby overnight and fireworks at 3 a.m. All those little things, you know, they count for something. But I think administration and stability, they've been very, very, very stable.
So what about, give it to the technical coach, Raw. As compared to, you know, we did see this kind of discipline in the team during Westerhof's time, I think. If were to make a comparison, what is it that you could decipher from the two?
There are two different teams. Westerhof's team was built on strength. I mean, we had the Eguavons, the Rojas, the Uche Kichukus. We don't have such big, strong guys right now. This team is much quicker, much quicker. It plays much more. The football is faster from the back. And if you noticed yesterday, when we considered the 2 goals, we were playing at a tempo that shook even Argentina. So there are two different teams. I think another thing is Raw has had a shorter time to build his team that Westerhof did. And Raw has players in clubs that's the luxury Westerhof did not have. Westerhof had mainly boys in Belgium who were trying to break into the big leagues, but they were playing regularly. Raw has players who are regulars in the English Premier League. I mean, Chelsea is not to be sneezed at. Arsenal is not to be sneezed at. The trophy at Leicester is still hot. So we have players in clubs who are playing 90 minutes, and they are in key positions. Even our defenders, yes, Leon Balogun might not be starting every game at Mainz, but everybody else is playing. And even our goalkeeper, Ezenwa, let's be honest, with the local league, we agree, but he played every game. So he has players who are playing regularly. He has quicker players, and his policy on age, he wants young players. Raw has that policy. So just very few veterans, Ahmed Musa, Mikel Obi. And I mean, if Mikel and Musa are the veterans in your team, you know that that's a pretty young team. So I think that's what he has. The fact that what he wants, he's been able to get it. And he's getting very little obstruction.
So there you go. I think it's looking good so far. We hope there'll be a lot less obstruction such that they could keep doing this and do more. Thank you for coming on this morning. Nadia Bayan, sports analyst and journalist. We'll be back tomorrow. That's the show today, as a matter of fact. I'm Chamberlain also.
And I'm Gimba Umar.
Thank you, Maokwe Ogun.